In this podcast, we will be covering the Asia Cup, the 100th of Sachin Tendulkar, the India versus Pakistan clash, and the great innings of Virat Kohli. We will also be having the moment of the week, which is Bob Woolmer's death on March 18th. And our issues segment will contain the importance of players who can chase well for the team. Thank you very much, and do listen in on the podcast. Hello everybody, welcome to the Cricket Hotspot podcast. This is your host Parth Taneja. I am recording here from Toronto. I hope you guys are enjoying our revamped website and Facebook page. This is podcast number 18, of course, and 18 incidentally is the number of instances where two batsmen have scored the same identical score in one innings of a test match. Quite an interesting fact, eh, Sarthak?
Pretty interesting. I think most recently where it happened was in the South Africa New Zealand Test match where.
Yes, Graham Smith and A.B. de Villiers scored 125, and that was the highest score out of those 18 scores. So.
Perfect. Pretty interesting fact for the day. All right, let's move on to our major topic for the day, which would be centering around the Asia Cup, the major series going on at the moment.
Many things have happened. Many interesting things have happened. What do you think is the importance of Asia Cup, or is there an importance of Asia Cup in the international calendar?
I think it's just one of those events where the only significance of Asia Cup in present day is actually the marquee clash between India and Pakistan, to be brutally honest. I think there is nothing else. No one actually cares about what's going on, or there is no importance of the cup as such, except for the marquee clash. Because of the bilateral ties between the two countries, we haven't had any cricket.
Yeah, and I think when Asia Cup started, it was meant to introduce countries like Abu Dhabi and like Dubai, UAE, and stuff like that into cricket, and provide funding for those countries to grow cricket. But ever since the sort of need for ratings in the TV market, those countries have not been welcomed, and I think it sort of defeats the purpose of Asia Cup. But I think the purpose that you mentioned is probably the only purpose why Asia Cup still exists,
right,
because of the ratings high that they received in the India-Pakistan match.
Exactly, and I think that's the way even the marketing campaign about these TV promos for the tournament, they go about playing up or hyping up only one of the 5 or 6 matches that were to be played. So that in a way is unfair to the other countries participating, but again, whatever sells kind of thing. So anyways, there were quite a lot of surprises by the other countries in the Asia Cup, namely Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, in this year's version of the Asia Cup. Sri Lanka definitely underperforming, and Bangladesh definitely surprising everyone with two very strong performances till date.
Yes. Both of them were strong, one in a winning cause and one in a losing cause.
Their main players are starting to come good at crunch times, which is most important for a team trying to build its own foothold in international cricket.
But I think Bangladesh is very underrated. I think they are a very strong team in Bangladesh, and I think we are seeing that in this tournament.
That's absolutely true. But again, over the years, we've seen they have the tendency to implode. They do not live up to the promise that they have, or the potential that they have. They have a lot of talented players, be it Tamim Iqbal. There was a guy called Mohammad Ashraful, if you remember.
Yes.
The next big thing in international cricket. But again, they have not lived up to the potential that they have. So it's really heartening to see people like Shakib, who's like sort of the mainstay.
Shakib is probably, if he was not playing for Bangladesh, he would have a strong billing in any other country, because he's probably one of the best all-rounders in the world right now. And I think you feel for players like Shakib Al Hasan, you feel for players like Andy Flower, who are just yards apart of whatever talent that country has ever produced, and but the fact that they are playing in the wrong country.
Absolutely, and I think one thing that I like about Bangladesh's approach is they know where their strength lies, and it's it's their left arm bowling, slow bowling.
Yes.
And they make no bones about it. They know that the pace bowlers are just to wear the ball off so that the spinners can make use of the ideal conditions provided to them, and especially in the subcontinent where the pitches are slow and low. So it's like the Indian teams of the 70s and the 80s where the spinners were the main weapons and the fast bowlers were just there to wear the ball off.
Yes, yes.
So it's good. Tamim Iqbal giving 2 solid performances. Well, he could have gone on to score a bigger score, which is
in both of them.
Which is what you require from one of your opening batsmen to stay for at least 30 or 40 overs so that you can build a solid base for the people who are coming in to go and build on that. So, solid performance, very good victory against India. I think whatever people say, the weak bowling lineup, which is absolutely true.
Yes.
India has the weakest bowling lineup in the tournament.
We will talk about that as the podcast goes on.
But scoring 140 runs in the last 14 or 15 overs against any team on any wicket is tough. Because it's not like scoring 20 runs of 1 over. You have to consistently maintain that over a period of 10 to 15 overs, which, again, against any opposition in any environment, gets tough.
And I think to do that, any team needs at least 2 or 3 heroes, and they got it on that day. Shakib started it. Shfiqur Rahim ended it, and all the 3 played very, very well. And I think Indian bowlers just did not have the answer to these guys, and just too good.
Absolutely.
In that match, something very interesting happened, and something that has been long overdue. It's the Sachin 100th. Is the hype worth it?
I would say yes. In spite of what people believe, the hype was totally worth it. But what I don't like is the way media projected it. Every time Sachin did not get to 100, it was put down as a failure. But I don't think that's true. Even a 40 or a 50 runs sometimes
he got 2 95s. I mean 196 and 194, and he got a couple of very good 70s.
Yes,
very good. I mean any other batsman, you would consider the guy in form, and you would consider the guy playing well for his team. But for Sachin, anything under 100 after the 99th 100 was just shambolic.
They kind of took away the focus of the actually good batting that he did to the fact that he did not achieve the 100. And it definitely was playing on his mind. If you can go back to that match, the India-Bangladesh match where he actually got the 100th, you can see the relief on his face once he gets this century, and the way he was playing just when he was in 90s. He does get a little tentative. Any batsman does when he's approaching a major score. But again, with him, it meant more than just another 100.
I'll give you an example of one of the best 70s I've seen Sachin score. It came in Australia in the SCG test, and I think it was the first or the second, I can't remember, but I think that was probably the most fluent I've seen him play. And just at the moment Clark started to bowl, he got stagnated, and then he gave his it away. But that 70 was one of the fluent innings, and I don't think the media has done justice to the talents of Sachin Tendulkar ever. They have either overhyped it or they have undercut him tremendously. And the thoughts of him going to retire and stuff like that just show the naivety of the Indian media and just the world media in general.
That's one thought I'm totally against. I think people making these comments are not well versed with what's going on in the world of cricket, or they haven't watched Tendulkar play over the last 20 years. Because, as you said, they are naive, because that is the most, pardon me, but the stupidest thought that I've actually heard someone say that Sachin should retire. I think there is no way you can tell greats like Sachin, Dravid, Ponting of when to retire, because they know their limits. They know if the body is not performing up to the level required and the standards set by them, they would not be playing. And the very fact that the point of the game is to field your best 11 players. I don't care if the player is 50, I don't care if the player is 5. But if he is amongst the top 11 performers in the country, he has to be in the team. There is no two ways about it. So I do not know why people want Sachin to retire so that a young person can take his place. Because if that player cannot perform, cannot win new matches, there is no way Sachin should be leaving the team.
I think I saw Sachin hit a shot in the India-Pakistan match in the Asia Cup. It was the six of Azaz Chima. At that moment I felt that if a player plays a shot like that, he should still have the right to call a day, because that showed it was a shot at will. It was not an edge. He played it perfectly, and it was just a great shot. And if you can still play those shots, you should be allowed to play in international cricket. And secondly, these players, these legends, as we have mentioned, want to retire on a high. They want to make sure that that people think of them as greats even after they have retired. So they are doubly more cautious on actually saying goodbye. You take the example of Shane Warne. He retired after the 5-0 whitewash to England in the Ashes 2006. You take Hayden, for example. He didn't have much of a career left after the 2007 World Cup. So these great players know when to call it a day.
Prime example being Imran Khan after the 92 World Cup.
Yes. And Imran Khan could have played for much longer. So, but anyways, going back to the 100th, I think this milestone is very hard to beat. It's very, very hard to beat.
I would say it's impossible to beat, just because the sheer longevity in the game that Tendulkar has shown. 22 or 23 years in the game, it is almost impossible to beat nowadays. And
especially with 3 forms of cricket going on.
Absolutely. They wear you out a lot. And there is no way I see any cricketer from now on to eternity surviving 20 years of international cricket with these 3 formats if they continue to play in all 3 consistently.
And let's just think about it. To score 100 means that you have to be, first of all, an opening batsman in ODI cricket. You cannot make as many hundreds if you're not an opening batsman. So 10 out of your 11 players in the team are out of the reckoning just by that. Sorry, 9 of your opening bat, and also you need to be very lucky with injuries, and especially, as you said, the amount of cricket going on right now. How many of us can say that an Indian bowler will play more than 5 games at a stretch? They cannot hold up. Batsmen are a different thing, but still, as a batsman, it's very hard to maintain fitness for so long as Sachin has. One thing that may be easier for this lot is the kind of bowling that there is in world cricket. The level of bowling has gone down consistently from the 1990s when Sachin was scoring those big ones, but still 100 hundreds is too hard to beat, and I think we should always take stock in that fact.
Absolutely. I think you brought up a brilliant point about fitness. Sachin, as long as he's committed 100% to the game, and you can see that on the field, while he's batting, while he's fielding, bowling, whatever he's doing, he's totally committed to the game, and he gives in his 100%. And
yes,
that is what you need a player to do on the field, no matter how old is he, because he does not seem slow anywhere in the field or when he's playing.
I doubt that fact. I think Sachin is probably in the current ODI team. He's probably one of the slower fielders India have.
I would not think so. I think he's a very smart fielder.
Yes.
I think the way he approaches his fielding is like he approaches his batting. He has a very focused thing. He's very fast in the field. Deceptively fast, actually. Even if you see while running between the wickets, he is deceptively fast. So that is one thing that I really appreciate about him, that even at that age, he's so fit. And instead of being lucky with injuries, he's been tough. That is where the importance lies. Because you can be a lucky player, but if you don't have the mental toughness to come back from an injury, no matter how small or how big that is, you won't survive. So Tendulkar in that respect has done really well. And I think he deserves to be there and call it a day when he feels like.
Yeah, and I would request for people who listen, please give him his due and he will do the right thing, in my opinion. If he doesn't, we are there to criticize. India has played 2 matches so far in the Asia Cup. One has been against Bangladesh and the other one has been against Pakistan. One thing that has been India's biggest problem for the last 20 years and still continues to be is their bowling. What are your thoughts on the Indian bowling? Was it the cause of Bangladesh defeat?
Absolutely. I could not have stressed that more because a lot of people, I think a lot of ex-players came on various news channels and were criticizing Sachin for being absolutely slow when approaching his 100 and playing for personal milestones, costing the team runs and eventually the match. I do not see that as a reason. Yes, we could have got 15, probably 10 or 15 or 20 more runs towards the end of the innings if Sachin had played faster, given the fact. But your bowling attack allowed Bangladesh to score 140 runs in the last 14 overs. That is not acceptable by any means. So if your bowling attacks, no matter how good the pitch is, if you're allowing the middle order, Bangladesh middle order, not the top order, the Bangladesh middle and lower order to score 140 runs in the last 14 overs, there's absolutely something wrong with the bowling attack. You're not bowling in the right areas. You do not need speed to take wickets. That is one misconception. Although we do not have a terribly fast bowler which would add variety to it, you do not necessarily need pace to take wickets. You need to bowl in the right channel. You need to bowl
be smart, and I don't think
absolutely
smartness is there in the Indian bowling right now.
There was a lot of rubbish bowling, and that's the term I would use here, rubbish. There was a lot of rubbish bowling, full tosses, short pitch bowling at that pace. Even spinners like Ashwin bowling short pitch stuff that was easily put away. And that is what actually cost us the match, because there's no other way a team can score 140 runs in last 14 overs.
And give 330 in one ODI.
Absolutely. I think although we are getting to witness such amazing chases by our batsmen, but one should not forget the fact that the very reason that we are chasing 330 runs to begin with is because of shambolic bowling. It is absolutely rubbish. There is no way you can expect a team to consistently win just on one facet of the game. India has somehow managed to do that over the years, but it will not last as long. There was no way India was winning the World Cup if Zahir's performances was taken out from that. So that one man brings so much to the team. Zahir Khan, when he leads the bowling attack, be it Test, be it ODIs, and his absence from the team, and you see what is going on.
I would have to agree with you, and I think I cannot explain why, but I saw Irfan Pathan bowl two of the most stupidest full tosses in the 47th over, and it gave Bangladesh scored, I think, 18 or 19 runs, and they needed 33 runs before that. So that just made up for everything, and I think bowling like that made me cringe, and bowling like that just it's not done. And I think Praveen Kumar has been probably India's best bowler in the Asia Cup, but he still was not bowling up to his best. I have seen him bowl much more tightly. One point that you mentioned is smart bowling, and I think smart bowling is the key in bowling in any conditions, but especially in conditions where there is no help for any kind of ball, whether it's spin bowling or whether it's fast bowling. Bangladesh wickets have been the flattest wickets I've seen in the recent memory, especially since last year. It was certainly terrible bowling performance in two of the two matches that India has played. What would be your suggestions on how to improve or changes to be made?
I think there's no short-term approach to it. It has to be long-term, and I think we discussed this in one of the previous episodes. But
I think we discussed it even in the last podcast regarding the pitches.
My vote would definitely be to improve the quality of pitches in the domestic competitions, because that is the path from where your future bowlers are coming through. If they do not have, not even in the domestic system, I would go down to the root level, like school or under 15 levels, where your quality is actually coming up, and there is time to change your action, your approach to the game, your pace. There's a lot of stuff to be done at that level, and only those people you can expect to come through the stages and to play for your country. You cannot expect a person who is 22 or 23 right now to suddenly change his approach and start bowling quick.
Changing actions and stuff like that is near impossible.
It's very tough.
At the age, yeah.
So they need to go down to grassroots level. They need to get that mindset that, yes, we will support you. The bowlers need to know, because as you can see all over the country, it's just flat wickets. Bowler is absolutely demoralized because you see a kid. Imagine yourself to be an 8-year-old kid and watching these stars on TV. You see one person score 150 and the bowler getting hit for 100 runs out of his 10 overs. Who would you want to be, the bowler or the batsman?
The batsman, obviously.
Absolutely. Yes. There's no two ways about it. So till a fair enough chance is not given to the bowlers, we will not have bowlers coming through. And you can see the difference between us and our neighbors, like India and Pakistan. The heroes that we've had since time immemorial have been batsmen. So any kid growing up wants to be the next Sachin Tendulkar, wants to be the next Sunil Gavaskar, wants to be the next
Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli is the new age hero now. Rahul Dravid, Saurav Ganguly. You will never see a kid grow up and say, I want to be the next Javagal Srinath. That is just not happening anymore. And that is the fact that we need to treat.
And you see, you covered fast bowling. But the fact is, spin bowling is no different. Flat wickets do not help anybody. And whether even if you have spin in it, it needs to be sharp spin. It needs to be quick spin, and it needs to be troubling the batsman. And if you don't have even that, you're not going to get any spinner coming out of India anytime soon, probably ever. So I think pitches really need some major re-evaluation, and just the whole problem comes back to TV ratings. What TV sells? TV sells the boundaries. TV sells sixes. Administrators do not want to change anything because crowds come to see TV. Crowds come to see quick runs, quick 50s, quick hundreds, bowlers being bashed around. They do not come to see stumps flying through, at least in India. And it's just that's the whole problem. And I think we need to change our approach from money, from TV ratings, but change the approach to good cricket played by India, so that the embarrassments like England and Australia's tour of 2011, 2012 is avoided big time. Not awarded, sorry.
Absolutely. I do not think we need to avoid those performances. But in any case, yes, absolutely, you make a very valid point that we definitely need to have better bowling pitches or better bowling facilities in place in our home countries, so that when we go outside to play quality teams like Australia and England, we do not suffer some embarrassments like we did. Alright folks, so let's move on towards the marquee clash of Asia Cup 2012. India versus Pakistan. A dream matchup, a crazy start by Pakistan batsmen, 224, the highest first wicket partnership for Pakistan against any country. Nasir Jamshed, Mohammad Hafiz getting quality hundreds, absolutely
flawless hundreds.
No risk except that one dropped catch of Nasir Jamshed to Sachin Tendulkar. There's absolutely no risks taken. Risk-free cricket, helped obviously by some rubbish bowling by the Indian bowlers, but nonetheless, stuck around for 35 overs, scored 224 runs, an achievement in itself. How do you rate that performance?
I think when I was watching the match at that stage, I said the game is not over, because I saw the wicket, I saw that the caliber of the Indian batsmen we have, and I knew that the game was not over. But then still, I congratulated both of them because they played very well, and as you said, risk-free cricket, and I think that's why it deserves the respect that it is not been given because Pakistan lost. It deserves the respect a lot more because Pakistani cricket generally is very bashful. If there is a great 100, it's generally not as methodical as these two were, and both of these were very methodical, and there was no chances given except the Sachin catch drop. You need to have luck on your side, and they certainly did yesterday, and it was a great couple of innings.
Absolutely. I think where Pakistan missed the trick was towards the end overs. If you are 225 for no loss or 225 for 1 in 35 overs with your power play staring right at you, in the last 15 overs, you would expect the team to go on and score at least another 125 runs, 150 runs, I would say, with the amount of firepower they have.
And the kind of pitch it was, and the kind of bowling that was being dealt to them.
Like, Yunus Khan obviously played his part, but he, along with Umar Akmal, Afridi, I do not consider him a great asset.
Yunus actually played more than his part.
Absolutely.
He's generally, if you get 100 strike rate out of him, you've done well. But he gave you 150 strike rate.
Absolutely.
And got a 50, nice 50. It was certainly a good innings from Yunus in that scenario. But I think one player that I think Pakistan should really invest in, and I don't think they are giving that player enough credit, is actually Umar Akmal. Umar Akmal deserves a higher spot. He is much classier a batsman than the role that he's been given right now, and I think he needs to be trained to go higher up the order and play a Virat Kohli type, or because he has all the talent as a batsman as you need, except maybe his defense game. But as an attacking aggressive batsman, he has a lot of talent, and I think telling him to play shots that have a lot of risk in them is not the right thing for his kind of caliber as a player, and I think that's where Pakistan are missing a trick at this moment.
Absolutely, and I think they did well by promoting him over Misbah in the last game. That was a good approach. That was definitely a positive approach. They had a platform set. They needed someone to go on and accelerate. So Misbah coming in at that time would have dampened the proceedings. But even provided the fact that he came up, there was no real difference in the overall score, because they ended up with 329. So
because his role is different right now. His role in the team is to get cheeky runs, and I think he is much better a batsman than that.
Right, absolutely. And they scored 100 runs or 105 runs in the last 15 overs. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible score to do when you're playing a quality opposition with some very bad bowling. So
and with known great batsmen.
Exactly. So I think person to blame, and I would be harsh to a lot of people, but I would say Afridi did not play his part. You were expected to get quick runs or get out. He stayed there till the end, did not get the quick runs, neither did he get out. So with him, you have come to expect a strike rate of over 100. You have come to expect that even if he does not hit, you will at least give you quick 5-10 runs and then get out so that the next batsman can come in and play his shots. But in this game, nothing happened. Stayed on till the end. They only got to 329. And that was, on that wicket, as we saw towards the end, a very, very under par score.
And all right, let's move down to the Indian batsmen now. What's your take on how it all went about?
I would say this was one innings for the ages. Like the way Virat Kohli paced his innings, coming in 0 for 1. First over, second ball, Gautam Gambhir gets LBW to Mohammad Hafiz. Good ball, by the way.
Good ball, and I think you can't do much about that as a batsman.
Absolutely. Coming in the first over of an India-Pakistan clash, chasing 330 runs. How much bigger can it get?
And against a quality bowling attack, I would say.
So he did amazingly well with Tendulkar to stick around, build that 100 partnership, and the best thing they did not go back into the shells. Indians have been guilty of doing that. When an early wicket falls, no matter how attacking the batsmen at the crease are, they usually retract, they go in their shells, which is not a bad thing always. But in this case, they were aggressive, they got quick runs, they demoralized the bowlers coming in, no matter was it pace or spin, except Ajmal obviously was treated with respect. But that's where the strength lies, and that's, I think, the foundation of the victory. But
I do feel that your summation of traditional Indian batsmen does not apply to the current youth, because if you take the example of Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, they're more confident as players. They sort of provide the air of more experience, and they do not care what the norm is, and they try to go and achieve near impossible things. And we have seen especially Virat Kohli achieve two of the most impossible run chases in the last 1 month, and it's certainly a testimony to, I guess, the IPL, which has provided them with the confidence of going and doing such huge achievements which are unheard of and played even by non-established internationals. Remember, these guys are just 4 or 5 years old in international cricket at the most, and such feats have not been done by a 15-20-year-old. And I think this is certainly a great achievement for Indian cricket. And going back to Virat Kohli's innings of 183, I would still rate the Hobart innings higher than this because the pitch wasn't as flat, the ground was bigger, and the bowling attack, I would say, was slightly higher, and kind of hitting he did to their main bowler, which is Slinga Malinga, it was just too good to watch. In this case, it was more of an innings that was just meant to take India through. It was not that grand innings that we saw from him before. Great innings.
I definitely agree with your points, but I disagree on the fact that the level of bowling was better in Sri Lanka. I think Pakistan on paper do have a much better bowling lineup compared to Sri Lanka. So this innings was very valuable, but overall I do agree that the innings in Hobart, chasing 330 runs or 320 runs in 36 overs, 37 overs, beautiful. Absolutely impossible. And as you mentioned, we can attribute one of the successes to the IPL on T20 tournaments globally, that people now, or the younger generations coming through, they're not daunted by any score. If they have to chase at 10 and over, 12 and over, 15 and over, they know it can be done because of experience gained while playing in domestic T20 tournaments and global T20 tournaments. So that is one very, very, very big positive that come out of these tournaments.
Yes. What was your thought of Pakistani bowling in that match?
Absolutely below par. From what we've come to know and expect of Pakistan bowlers, I think they were below par. Wahab Riaz was way off radar.
Bowling short pitch at that pace on that flat of wicket to a batsman of the caliber of Virat Kohli does not go
not even short pitched. It was just bowling on the pads. Every second delivery of his was on the pads. And for any player from the subcontinent, that is bread and butter. To work the ball off their pads to the boundary, it's as simple as that. You and I could have gone and scored a century with bowling like that.
I highly doubt that, but okay. I would say that picking Wahab Riaz was one of the bigger blunders Misbah has done in his short-lived captaincy so far. The player has not played for 6 months in the Pakistan national team, whether it is Test match or international, and you just pick him for the sake that he performed well in the semi-final against India in the World T20, where the conditions were much different, the countries were different. Certainly did not make sense to me. I would have rather picked one more spinner, or maybe I don't know, but I wouldn't have picked Wahab Riaz.
I disagree with you there, because I think, yes, the basis of selection was wrong. That the fact that Wahab Riaz performed well against India in their previous game, so yes, he must do well in this one. That basis of selection was wrong. But if you see a trend, Indian batsmen have struggled against quality left-arm pace. Be it Mitchell Starc, be it Mitchell Johnson, be it Mohammad Amir previously, be it any other left-arm bowler who's bowled well. Wahab Riaz was not a bad pick from my point of view. Taking another spinner would have just caused an issue, because you have quality world-class spinners in your team in Saeed Ajmal and Shahid Afridi. You do not want more. You have Mohammad Hafiz, who's more than a capable replacement as a third spinner. So you do not need an extra spinner, because that would have just made the attack more one-dimensional.
I think the word that I have to take, the word that you mentioned, and one way I have to take issue is quality. I don't think Wahab Riaz is a quality left arm bowler, at least in conditions that don't suit swing bowling, and subcontinental conditions certainly don't. You may see him bowl well in the English county season, but I don't think in subcontinental conditions against team that likes pace on the bat, it's a good ploy.
I do agree that Wahab Riaz hasn't proved himself, but the very fact that even a regular left-arm pace bowler can create issues for the Indian batsmen, because they are just not used to that angle. in spite of Zahir being on their side. They play him regularly in the nets, but they just haven't got used to that factor. And if a bowler can bowl at pace, going across the body, any right-handed batsman, no matter how good you are, has trouble. So I think the issue was not the selection, the issue was the execution. Wahab Riaz could have done much better, which he did not, and, well, eventually it cost the game.
Yes. Your take on Ajmal, the bowler? Again, we come
the
back.
biggest weapon by far that Pakistan holds is Saeed Ajmal. It's not Shahid Afridi, it's not Mohammad Hafiz, it's not Yunus Khan, it's not Umar Akmal. It is Saeed Ajmal. Biggest weapon, be it tests or one days, he has time and again proved. I was a little skeptical about his achievements in the longer format of the game, but recently he has shown, although they were in familiar conditions and helpful wickets that he scored, that he took wickets. But again, to go out there and take wickets that consistently, to fool the batsman that consistently, you have to be a good bowler. And he is in a rich vein of form in across formats of the game. T20, ODIs, Test match, he's done and proved in every one. So, biggest weapon, and I think India respected that fact. They went after each and every bowler. They went after Afridi in his first over itself. But they treated Ajmal with respect, and they know that he's capable, more than capable of turning the game around in just one over. So that brings us to the issues segment, and in this one we'll actually discuss players and the performance while chasing. Virat Kohli, perfect example. 700s out of his 1100s have come while chasing. He averages amazingly high, above 50 in chases, and he's second in the number of hundreds scored in chases only to Sachin Tendulkar, who has 17 in all. Amazing player. In the last 1 month, he has shown is more than capable of handling the chase on his own. He had able support in Gautam Gambhir in that
Hobart match.
In the Hobart match, and then Suresh Raina later. And in this one, he had the great man Tendulkar himself, and then Rohit Sharma till the end. So the very fact that he stood there from the first or the second overs till near the end, almost finished the game in both the matches. Tremendous ability, or tremendous display of concentration to be there for such a long period of time and not make a false stroke.
I think chasing is especially more, first of all, it's more nerve-wracking as a player. You need to be more cautious of your wicket, and because you have the advantage of knowing the target, the bowlers are also aware that where to bowl, to stop you, to get that target through. So I think players like Virat Kohli, players like Michael Bevan, players who have been known as great chasers are very, very valuable to a team, because, and especially to a team like India where the bowling lineup is very weak, they can really rely on bowling first and doing a great chase at the end, and do it considerably whenever they need it. So comparatively whenever they need it. So I think Virat Kohli adds a lot to this Indian team, and I have to be honest here. I was not a big fan of Virat Kohli at least 1 year ago. Ever since he started to get those tons consistently, I've liked his batting since. I think he packs a punch. He does not look like a player who's capable of hitting the big shot, or whose shots are not as punchy, but he certainly packs a punch. Sort of reminds me of David Warner of Australia.
Interesting comparison there. I've never actually seen Virat Kohli in that mold, but yes, it does make sense. He can pack a punch for a guy his size. I mean, he's definitely no Matthew Hayden, but he can definitely hit the ball far. And that one shot, that 6 over extra cover hit to Umar Gul, beauty, absolute beauty. That shot defined the night. The way that he played, the timing was impeccable. It was just a push, and it actually went for a 6 over extra cover, and it's not an easy shot to play, especially of a fast bowler. So amazing, like total respect for the man after that shot. Although Virat Kohli has proved time and again, over the last few months at least, that he is a class finisher. I think the best of all is the man coming in at number 6 for us, MS Dhoni, I'm sorry. Definitely one of the better finishes in the game, as you saw back in Australia, the CB series. And I think that comes from the faith in your own abilities to hit the ball wherever you want, for as much as you want, and whenever you want. Dhoni has that ability. He knows and he backs himself to do that whenever required.
See, but the problem with Dhoni is that he does not trust his abilities to come higher up the order. He is much better a batsman, and because he considers himself just as a finisher, he will never be counted as one of the greats of Indian cricket, great Indian batsman of Indian cricket. He has the capability of playing that long innings that Kohli does. Maybe not as correct as Kohli, like not technically as correct as Kohli, but certainly
effective.
Certainly effective, and he's sort of like that. It's the Hindi term called actually jugaad. He has that batsman. His technique is like a jugaad, where whatever the ball comes from wherever position he is, he can certainly hit that ball a long way. And I think we have to respect MS Dhoni for that. So. Chasing is very important, especially for a team like India, and I think we have to laud this effort of Virat Kohli. Now it's time for our next segment, Moment of the Week. On March 18, 2007, one of cricket's personalities died in one of the most unfortunate circumstances. We're talking here, of course, of Bob Woolmer's death after the loss against Ireland. Pakistan team was out of the tournament, and then the next day we heard the news that Bob Woolmer had died. Although after that there was a long investigation, and it was concluded that suicide was what it was. What was your thought of that incident and the black period cricket had
It
to
did
go through?
shake the cricketing world, because it was sort of first incident like that to occur, and it was highly under mysterious circumstances, as you said, and there was a long investigation, a long drawn controversy about what happened, what might have happened, a lot of speculation going on around that time, and we would probably never find out, or whatever the conclusion was, suicide, and what drove him to that. But again, a well-loved personality, definitely shocking for the entire world. Pakistan's defeat of Ireland by Ireland was definitely a trigger, or one of the points that might have led to that moment. But again, what eventually happened and what was the actual reason behind it, we'll probably never find out.
So thank you everybody for listening to another edition of the Cricket Hotspot podcast. I hope you guys have checked out our new website, our new Facebook page. If not, it's thecrickethotspot.com, and the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/thecrickethotspot. Please go check it out. Send us any emails, questions, concerns, and we'll try to address them in the next podcast. If you like our effort, please do get in touch with us. We like to hear from the people, and hopefully we'll be back with the next one shortly.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. And as I say consistently, any feedback is welcome, and we'd love to hear back from you on how you find our new website, our approach to the podcast. Any concerns or any feedback that you have, greatly appreciated. So please do not forget to write to us, and we will talk to you soon. And we'll see you next week with our next episode, number 19. And till then, goodbye and take care.